Welcome back. I'm Dr. Cheek and I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what does it mean to be in a positive relationship. We focus a lot on what does it mean to be in a toxic or in an unhealthy or an abusive relationship. Today I want to talk a little bit about what does it look like to be in a healthy relationship. What does it look like to be in a relationship where you feel valued? So we're going to talk a little bit about what are the dynamics of a healthy relationship today. How do you know when the relationship that you're in is a healthy relationship? Now I'm going to focus on 3 aspects of healthy relationships, and I want to be very clear. When I say relationships, and normally when people say relationships, we inherently think that they're talking about romantic relationships. But in our day-to-day lives, we engage or we deal with relationships on a constant basis. So when I refer to relationships, I'm talking about friendships, I'm talking about family relationships, I'm talking about relationships with your coworkers, and specifically romantic relationships, because all of those relationship dynamics have the potential to be both healthy and unhealthy or toxic in some way. So today I'm going to focus on 3 aspects of those relationships that indicate that you're in a healthy relationship. Now, are there other aspects of a relationship that dictates whether it's healthy or not? Yes, but these are the 3 that I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to put them into 3 categories. And the 3 categories are 1, mutual respect and trust, 2, a shared desire for connection, and 3, the ability to disagree without being disagreeable. So the ability to fight fair or communicate effectively and to better manage conflict. So that first one is mutual respect and trust for one another. In this particular arena, when we have a mutual respect and a mutual trust for one another, we value each other in the relationship. We see each other as a benefit to the relationship as opposed to a detriment to the relationship. We see that there is no one person that holds a greater level of value in the relationship over the other. We both know that having this other person in our lives is something that's both beneficial and valuable to us. We don't spend time tearing down or trying to degrade or diminish our partners in those relationships in order for us to feel a greater level of security. In healthy relationships, we are able to criticize. And do not get me wrong, in a healthy relationship, you are able to challenge and criticize your partner because you want to see them grow. However, we're not doing that in a way that we're trying to hurt or diminish them in any way. We're doing that so we can help them get to their next level in life if this is something that they're wanting in their lives. As a partner, you should be able to challenge the people that you are in a relationship with. But that does not look like you making negative comments. That doesn't look like you are name calling, making them feel worse about themselves, making them feel like they have no value as a way of being able to build them back up in your image or in how you see them. So that's what mutual respect looks like. And mutual trust looks like I trust that you are going to be there to support me. Mutual trust means that we trust one another to value the relationship, to see each other as a benefit, to not purposely hurt one another. And I highlight purposely hurt one another because there is a difference between hurting someone and you're not knowing that you've caused some sort of hurt or harm and purposely hurting someone. In an unhealthy relationship, the hurt and harm is done purposely. That was the goal. That was what they were wanting to get out of the behaviors or the words that they engaged in. So when we trust one another, we trust that we are not going to hurt each other on purpose. We trust that we're going to provide support. We're going to continue to be there. We trust each other to be who we said we were going to be, who our actions are saying we are. And unhealthy trust looks like you trust me regardless of what I'm doing, and I can't trust you if I don't see what you're doing 24/7. And also in a healthy relationship, there is a willingness to adjust for personal growth. We're able to see each other as individuals within the relationship, and we don't see an individual's personal growth within the relationship as an attack or as a threat on our ability to maintain that relationship. We see that personal growth as a benefit to the relationship overall. So that's that mutual respect and trust for one another. So when we talk about a shared desire for connectedness in this particular arena, we both have an understanding that we want to build this relationship. We want to maintain this relationship. And a part of being able to build and maintain relationships is being able to connect. And that connection could be through communication, through closeness and physical access, through shared activities, through shared hobbies. That connection can be through many different arenas. We don't see spending time with that relationship partner as an obligation. We see it as a privilege to get to spend time with someone that we truly care about or we want to continue to build a relationship. So a shared desire for connection connection means that I am able to see that there is value in being able to spend time with this person. I gain mentally, physically, emotionally by being in this person's presence. And we find new ways to connect, because as you grow in a relationship, with that personal growth may come with changes in the things you enjoy, may come with changes in the things that you want to do and learn how to do. And in a healthy relationship, we don't see those changes in how you want to engage as a threat. We see that as an opportunity to maybe do something different, to find different ways of connecting to one another, to finding new ways to connect to one another. And along those same lines, like I was talking about recently with that individuality, you don't see the times when you are apart as an indication of a lack of desire to connect. You see it as a person continuing to want to connect because they continue to make the effort, whether they're checking in, whether they are continuing to make that communication, reaching out, making time. Those things continue, but they still have the ability to be able to do the things that they're needing to do. Now, in a partnership, in a romantic relationship, that time apart may be shortened or less than when you are talking about maybe a family relationship or a friendship. In those types of relationships, our times apart may be a little bit longer as we get older because of the things that we're having to deal with or do as adults. We may not have time to maybe check in as often as we like or to make connection as often as we like. However, in those dynamics, family and friendships, we need to continue to make the effort on purpose to maintain that connection, that shared desire for connection. Now, also with that shared desire for connection is an understanding that even when we are maybe in conflict or upset with one another, it doesn't mean that there is a complete rupture in the relationship. It means that we are having a point of disagreement that we need to either communicate through or engage differently so we don't stay in this place. It's not a matter of I'm upset with you, so now this is over and this is done. It's a matter of I'm upset, so either we need to work through this or I need to determine what is actually causing the issue and figure out what I need in this moment to alleviate the issue. We understand that getting upset does not cause a rupture in the connection, and we can reconnect as long as we're willing to make that reconnection. And that brings me to my last category, or the last aspect of a healthy relationship, is that you are able to disagree without being disagreeable. You're able to have fair fights and conflict. A lot of us seem to think that if we never have a conflict, if we never argue, then that's a healthy relationship. And in some ways that can be a healthy relationship, but also in some ways that can be an indication of a somewhat unhealthy relationship, because the idea that we're going to spend 24/7 or an extended amount of time with someone and never disagree is illogical. If that does occur, more than likely one or both are withholding how they're feeling in order to avoid conflict. And when we withhold how we feel and what we're thinking, sometimes in relationships, instead of avoiding conflict, we build resentment. And the difficulty with building resentment is that over time, that resentment comes out. And it maybe comes out in small actions that we do every day that we're not even aware of, like not saying good morning, or leaving before someone gets up, or not acknowledging them when they walk in the house. So we're not actually arguing, we're not actually dealing with the issue, but we are taking these small slights that kind of indicate that there is a problem. But we don't argue, so there is no conflict. So the ideal is that there is no conflict, so we must be in a healthy relationship. But in actuality, there is conflict, but one or both are purposely trying to avoid the conflict. And in doing so, they're building resentment and showing that resentment in other ways. And sometimes that looks like cheating. So when we are in healthy relationships, that's friendships, that's family, that's co-workers, that's romantic relationships, there is going to be the likelihood, if you spend an extended period of time with anyone, there is a likelihood that a conflict will occur. The idea of being able to be in a healthy relationship is not that you don't have conflict, it's that you know how to handle or manage the conflict. The conflict does not become a shouting match. Most of the time when we're yelling, people shut down and they no longer are listening. So if you're in one of those families where everyone talks loudly, so conflicts sound like yelling to the average person, but this is how you all communicate, then that in your family dynamic or in your relationship dynamic may be healthy if you're still able to hear one another. But in most common cases, yelling, screaming is not healthy. When we fight fair, we're willing to sit down and listen to one another. We're willing to come to some level of consensus. We're willing to make compromises or make concessions depending on the situations. We're willing to make changes if necessary. We're willing to kind of take into consideration their point of view. We're willing to hear them out, and we're willing to listen twice as much as we speak. So in the aspect of being able to disagree without being disagreeable or fighting fair, we learn how to communicate our thoughts, our needs, our disappointments in a way that they can be heard and dealt with. We don't dismiss how others are feeling. We don't dismiss how our relationship partners are feeling. We don't diminish how they're feeling. We actually hear them out and try to understand from their perspective, even if it doesn't make any sense to you in those moments. If you take a moment to try to understand or hear or see it from their perspective, see if you're able to make sense of it for yourself. And if you can't, be honest about that. Be honest and say something as simple as, I hear what you're saying, but I still don't understand why this makes you upset. And you all may be able to come to some type of understanding and being able to resolve this conflict. But it doesn't become a name calling session. It doesn't become physically or mentally or verbally abusive. Everyone is able to say what they need to say. No one feels like they have to safeguard themselves from their relationship partner. No one feels like they are not in an open space to communicate openly and honestly about what they're thinking and what they're feeling. Everyone feels like they have the ability to be heard. Even when someone is upset, they still have the ability to be heard. That's what it looks like to be in a healthy relationship. So in healthy relationships, some of the elements that may be present is open and honest communication, an avoidance of defensive strategies like either shutting down or yelling or screaming or name calling or unwillingness to understand or hear the other person out. And when we deal with conflicts, we see conflicts as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to understand our partners differently. We don't see them as an attack. We don't see them as a threat on ourselves or the relationship. We see conflicts as the ability to grow or to learn one another in a different way. So again, we spend a lot of time focusing on what are the aspects of a toxic or unhealthy relationship. And I think we are pretty well versed to some extent on what that looks like. But today I want to focus on what does it look like to be in a healthy, positive relationship? What are those aspects? And I focus on 3 categories, which is mutual respect and trust for one another, shared desire for connection, and being able to manage conflict. So being able to fight fair, even in disagreements. And in all of these arenas, there is not this idea that we're never going to challenge in any way. We're always going to be just accepting of whatever someone gives us. In every healthy relationship, there is an aspect of challenge, there is an aspect of disagreement and conflict, there is an aspect of making space for personal growth and individuality, and all of that feels uncomfortable when you're not secure in a relationship. And the things that I focus on today when we talk about being in a healthy relationship are the things that are helpful to have in any relationship. And that relationship can be a friendship, that can be a family relationship, that can be any type of relationship, or what we consider interpersonal relationships, where you're interacting with other people on a personal level. And I highlighted a little bit in this video romantic relationships because that seemed to be primarily what people focus on, but we deal in relationships every day. So when we have healthy relationships, we have a mutual respect for one another, both in the relationship and outside of the relationship. When we have a healthy relationship, we have a shared desire for connection, which means that we want to build that relationship. Even when we disagree or when we are apart, we know that there is a desire to reconnect at the end of the day or at some other period in time. And when we are in a healthy relationship, we know that conflict is possible, conflict is necessary, conflict gives us the opportunity to grow and get to know each other on a different level. As always, I hope you take something from this video today that was helpful, that was informative, that gives you a little bit more understanding about what it looks like to be in a healthy relationship with someone in your life. Please feel free to jot down any thoughts, questions, or comments you have below. I thank you for taking the time to listen, and I'll be seeing you again very soon. Thank you.